The Mystery of the Zodiac Killer, a closer look at the infamous case. As the sun set on San Francisco in the late 1960s and early 1970s, a dark and sinister presence haunted the city. The Zodiac Killer, a mysterious and elusive serial killer, terrorized the Bay Area with a series of brutal murders, cryptic letters, and taunts to investigators. Despite decades of investigation and numerous suspects, the killer's true identity remains a mystery, leaving the case as one of the most fascinating and confounding unsolved mysteries in American history. In this video, we will delve into the case of the Zodiac Killer, examining the killer's methods, attacks, letters, and the suspects who have been investigated over the years. Join us as we explore the twisted mind of one of the most notorious killers of all time. Don't forget to subscribe our channel for more amazing and mysterious facts. The Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer operated in Northern California between 1968 and 1974, and is known to have committed at least 5 murders. Although he claimed to have killed as many as 37 people in his letters to the media. The Zodiac Killer taunted investigators with a series of cryptic letters and ciphers, many of which have never been fully decoded. The killer was also known for his distinctive symbol, a circle with a cross through it, which he included in many of his letters. While there have been numerous suspects over the years, no one has ever been charged with the Zodiac Killer's crimes. The attacks. The Zodiac Killer's attacks were all carried out in public places, such as secluded lovers' lanes, parks, and streets. The killer would often strike at night, when his victims were most vulnerable. One common element of the Zodiac Killer's attacks was his use of firearms. In most cases, the killer used a .22 caliber handgun to shoot his victims. The killer was known to approach his victims' cars and open fire through the windows, often without warning. In some cases, the Zodiac Killer would also use a knife to stab his victims. Darlene Ferrin, one of the killer's victims, was found with multiple stab wounds in addition to her gunshot wounds. This suggests that the killer may have enjoyed the act of stabbing as well as shooting his victims. Another notable aspect of the Zodiac Killer's attacks was his taunting of the police and media. The killer would often send letters and ciphers to local newspapers, claiming responsibility for his crimes and taunting the police for their inability to catch him. Victims: David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen. David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen were the Zodiac Killer's first known victims. They were high school students who were on a date on December 20, 1968, when they were shot and killed while sitting in Faraday's car at a secluded lover's lane in Benicia, California. The killer shot Faraday in the head and Jensen in the back as they tried to flee. Their bodies were discovered the following morning. Darlene Ferrin and Michael Maju. Darlene Ferrin and Michael Maju were shot on July 4, 1969, while sitting in Ferrin's car in a parking lot in Vallejo, California. The killer approached the car and opened fire, hitting both victims multiple times. Ferrin was killed, but Maju survived despite being shot in the face, neck, and chest. He was able to provide a description of the killer to police, which helped create the first police sketch of the Zodiac Killer. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking at Lake Berryessa in Napa County, California on September 27, 1969, when the Zodiac Killer approached them wearing a black hood with a white cross symbol on it. The killer tied them up with pre-cut lengths of clothesline before stabbing them repeatedly with a knife. Hartnell survived his injuries, but Shepard died 2 days later in the hospital. The Zodiac Killer later claimed responsibility for this attack in a letter to a local newspaper. Paul Stine. Paul Stine was a cab driver in San Francisco, California. On October 11, 1969, the Zodiac Killer hailed Stine's cab and requested to be taken to a specific location. Once there, the killer shot Stine in the head and took his wallet and keys. This was the Zodiac Killer's final known attack, and the first time he had targeted a victim who was not alone. It's worth noting that the Zodiac Killer is believed to have been responsible for additional attacks, including the attempted murder of Kathleen Johns. In March 1970, Johns was driving with her infant daughter when she was stopped by a man who told her that her wheel was loose. When she pulled over to check, the man abducted her and her daughter at gunpoint and forced her to drive to a secluded area before attempting to strangle her. Johns was able to escape with her child, and the Zodiac Killer later claimed responsibility for the attack in a letter to the police. The brutality and randomness of the attacks, as well as the killer's taunting letters to the police and media, have made this one of the most notorious unsolved cases in American history. The letters and ciphers. The Zodiac Killer was known for his written correspondence to the media, police, and other individuals, which included cryptograms, ciphers, and letters. These letters often included details about his murders or threats of future attacks. The killer sent a total of 4 cryptograms, of which 3 have been deciphered. The first cipher, known as the Z408 cipher, was sent to the San Francisco Chronicle in 1969. It took months for a high school teacher and his wife to solve the puzzle. It revealed a message from the killer claiming to be responsible for the murders of Faraday and Jensen, as well as the Farron and Maju shooting. The second cipher, known as the Z340 cipher, was sent to the San Francisco Chronicle in 1969. It took until 2020 for a team of codebreakers to solve the puzzle, which revealed a message from the killer taunting investigators and claiming to be collecting slaves for the afterlife. Despite the solution of the Z340 cipher, the killer's true identity remains unknown. The third cipher, known as the Z13 cipher, was sent to the San Francisco Examiner in 1969. This cipher was quickly solved by the newspaper staff and included a message from the killer in which he claimed to have killed 2 police officers in the San Francisco area. The fourth and final cryptogram, known as the My Name Is cipher, was sent in 1970. Despite numerous attempts to decipher the message, it has yet to be solved and its contents remain a mystery. In addition to the cryptograms, the Zodiac Killer also sent letters to the media and police in which he claimed responsibility for his murders and included details about his crimes. The letters were often signed with the killer's signature symbol, which was a circle with a cross through it. The killer also included threats to commit more murders if the letters were not published in the newspapers. The Zodiac Killer's use of cryptograms and letters has made the case even more mysterious and captivating for both investigators and the public. The unsolved ciphers have inspired numerous amateur and professional codebreakers to try and crack the code and reveal the killer's true identity. The suspects. Despite an extensive investigation and numerous suspects over the years, the true identity of the Zodiac Killer remains unknown. Here are some of the key suspects that have been investigated. Arthur Lee Allen. Arthur Lee Allen was a convicted child molester who had been investigated as a suspect in the Zodiac Killer case. Kathleen Johns told police that she had been abducted by a man who matched Allen's description. Later, handwriting experts claimed that Allen's handwriting matched the handwriting in some of the Zodiac Killer's letters. However, there was not enough evidence to charge him with the murders, and he died in 1992. Lawrence Kane. Lawrence Kane was a suspect in the Zodiac Killer case due to his resemblance to a police sketch of the killer. He was also known to have been in the San Francisco area at the time of the killings. However, he was eventually ruled out as a suspect. Richard Marshall. Richard Marshall was a convicted killer who lived in the San Francisco area at the time of the Zodiac Killer's crimes. He also wrote letters to the media that were similar in tone and content to those of the Zodiac Killer. However, he was eventually ruled out as a suspect due to a lack of evidence. Earl Van Best Jr. Earl Van Best Jr. was a convicted child molester who was briefly considered a suspect in the Zodiac Killer case due to his resemblance to a police sketch of the killer. He was also known to have been in the San Francisco area at the time of the killings. However, he was eventually ruled out as a suspect due to a lack of evidence. Despite these and other suspects over the years, the true identity of the Zodiac Killer remains a mystery. The case remains open, and investigators continue to search for new leads and evidence that may help solve the case. Conclusion. The Zodiac Killer remains one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. The case has captured the attention of the public and has inspired countless books, movies, and documentaries. The Zodiac Killer's brutal crimes, use of cryptograms and letters, and taunts to investigators continue to fascinate and terrify people to this day. While we may never know the true identity of the Zodiac Killer, the case remains an important reminder of the importance of law enforcement, forensic science, and the impact that one individual can have on a community and a nation. Thank you for watching, and we hope this video has provided you with a deeper understanding of the case of the Zodiac Killer. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. We would love to hear your thoughts on the case of the Zodiac Killer and any theories or opinions you may have. If you have any additional information or insights into the case, please feel free to share them in the comments section below. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to bringing you more intriguing content in the future.